and welcome to the Bodega Halloween special. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Happy Bodega to everyone. As always, I need you to, if not already, like, share, and subscribe. Please share the link to your respective media platforms. Tell a friend to tell a friend that's him again. And if you like what goes down in the bodega, you can support me via PayPal. Or if you'd like to be a monthly supporter, you can go and become a patron where you get an assortment of amazing things to help you in your personal Bible study. All right. And we got to say what's up to the party people in the chat. We got EC in the building. We got my man CMB already saying what's up, pagans. Yes, yes. So no doubt. We got Richard Redeem. We got Val Johnson on the check-in. We got the incomparable, the indelible Nate 2D2. We got D New. We got JP Davis, the funniest man in the UA. That dude got a gift, man. Like, bro, you need to start writing for people. You are hilarious, bro. For real. And of course, we have some illustrious guests in the, I guess today we'll call it the Bodega, right? I saw what I did there, right? And we're gonna start with Emoji Voorhees. What's going on, Emoji?
Hey.
So I get the hockey part. Which emoji are you in the other half?
The cry emoji. Cry laughing.
Oh wow. That's hilarious. Okay.
Wow. That's creative.
She's very creative. So
Thank you.
That's the only reason why she's here. She could care less about the show.
I don't. Let me not hug you. I only came because I wanted to either be Jason or a whole emoji. And I said, why not do both? Ta-da!
Emoji Boy. That sounds like a trap rapper that's out right now. You know what I mean?
That's right. Emoji Voorhees. Remix part 2. That's all I'm saying.
Then, of course, we have fellow Bodega Lady alumni, Delicate Flowers, in the building. What's going on?
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Good. Got your Morticia Adams vibe going. You know, you got the black lipstick. You know what I mean?
This is it. This is as much as
this is so good.
For Halloween, I don't play with demons.
Right. Let me throw that out there before anybody get things, for real, twisted. Like,
so I am not pagan, but yeah.
Oh, but we are, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if the cap fits, I think Bob Marley said that. The cap fits.
Let them
know. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pagan and proud. Pagan and proud.
P&P. P&P. That's a T-shirt.
Pagan shell, like Elder Mike. He's pagan.
Yeah, pagan shell. Wow. Pagan shell. Wow. And of course, we have the real American, Mr. Phil Fox. What's going on?
Yo, what up? I am dressed as a serial killer because they look like exactly everybody else.
I thought it's because you're wearing MJ Jackson's T-shirt. Oh man, that's crazy.
Killing them false doctrines.
There you go. Right. So just because it's, the Halloween special doesn't mean that we get away from talking about the real horror, which is this pandemic. Unfortunately, it's still among us. And just want to talk about how, our perspective corners of civilization is dealing with it. So we're going to start with Mr. Phil Fox. What's going on in Detroit, sir?
Oh, well, it's still here. We're it looks like we have, let's see, as of yesterday, we had 0 new cases. Wow, that's crazy. Nice. But our 7-day average is still hovering right at about 4,000. cases. So it's just, it's still there. Common sense, folks. Wear your masks. Get the vaccine. Get the wash your hands. Put some hand sanitizer in your car. It's not that hard, fam. Just do the stuff they taught you in kindergarten, right? The wash your hands and keep your hands off each other and don't be touching folks and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
So yeah.
Cool. Emoji Voorhees, what's going on by your neck of the woods?
Camp Crystal Lake. Actually, Camp Crystal Lake is in Ohio. I visited there before.
Really? The actual Camp Crystal Lake? For real? Or just wow.
No, seriously, Camp Crystal Lake is in Ohio. It's not as scary without Jason being there. But it was still fun though. They really don't want you there, but I digress with another story of how we got in. It was before COVID. That's all I can say. You got to ask Colin what's going on in Ohio because he seemed to know. I don't know. I just wear my mask and wash my hands and not try to be bothered with people. That's really what it boils down to. And you just wash your hands.
Now, when you say you wear your mask, you're not talking about the thing that's on your face now, right?
I wear all the masks. This one, my Michael Myers mask, whatever mask, works for the day. My Phil Fox mask, so, where I'm a serial killer, whatever happens, all the masks. But yeah, and when you wear a mask, wear them over your nose. Because if you have a mask on and your nose is uncovered, why do you have it on? Do you have it on so you can walk in the store? Because I'm tired of seeing people like, oh, I have a mask on, but it's like nothing. What are you doing? It's under here. It makes no sense to me. I'm with Colin. Act right. Act like you got some sense. Wear your mask properly. I don't get it. Like you literally walk in the store, and then the people that I love the most are the ones that have the mask under their chin while they're like talking on the phone and stuff. And they're just like running around, talking, getting their COVID germs on everybody with their mask. Like, did you really just put it on so you can get in the store? I got you. Sit down somewhere. But I told one person because she was just being all rude. I said, you're the reason we'll never get out of coronavirus. And then she was mad at me and I wanted her to pop fly. She didn't know. I think she realized if somebody's that bold to say something like that to me, they're probably ready for the work at any moment. Because I'm sick of it. I'm tired of people just running around, being free and out and just pretending they vaccinated when they ain't. Because I can look at her and tell she ain't gotten vaccinated.
Oh, you can look at
nobody. No, some people just like, I'm vaccinated. And you don't care about people's lives. And I could tell by how you acting in this store. So that's when I realized I probably shouldn't be going out nowhere because I ain't the one for y'all shenanigans. Wear your mask, wash your hands, get some hand. And literally, stores have big things of hand sanitizer. When I walk in, I always get some. And when I walk out, because I didn't touch stuff, I get some more. People walk by it. It's free hand sanitizer. People walk by it, touch everything, walk out and touch everything else and don't even use the hand sanitizer. Like, fam, it's free. It's free hand sanitizer. You ain't even have to pay for the sanitizer. It's free. And you don't want to use the free sanitizer? I know you ain't using your own because you ain't even using the free one. I digress. I'm sick of these people because I'm ready to go out the country. That's all I got to say.
Yes. It wouldn't be a bodega if we didn't get one of Michelle's infamous rants. So we're doing good. And
it's not a rant. It's not a rant. I'm just tired of folks because they ain't got no sense. It's not a rant. It's the truth. Rant is just like, well, I'm going off for no good reason. No, people need to put their mask on and use the free sanitizer that's at the store. I digress.
Yes, ma'am. And last but certainly not least, Delicate Flower. How's it going by you, sis?
So our numbers are coming down. Unfortunately, we do not have Phil Fox's testimony of 0 cases. I think yesterday we had about 500. Unfortunately, we did have 19 more people to succumb to the virus. Our hospitals are less crowded. This is good. These are good numbers. I know people like 500 a day. So we've been averaging that for the past couple of weeks or so. But this is great because we came down from about sometimes 15,000 over like the weekend, new cases in our third wave. And so to get to about 500 cases a day, it's really good. I am a bit nervous because we know that Halloween is on Sunday. and a lot of people will be moving around more and gathering again. So I'm a bit nervous to see what those numbers are. I think we had gotten to a point where the doctors and everyone were like, if we don't get this under control, our hospitals are going to be places where you can't come if you have an emergency. So that's what's going on where I am. Unfortunately, I did have to go to the Bahamas, not for good reasons, over the past couple of weeks. And the story there is not as good. So they are in the midst of their third wave, and it's really, really, really bad in terms of hospital capacity care. So while I was there, so the Bahamas, if you've never been or looked it up on the map, it's one country, and we have like 17 islands that are inhabited with people. So one of the more southern islands is Anagua. So someone took COVID there, and just in the time when I was there, 7 people in one family had died from COVID. Um, One young man, he contracted COVID, and on another island called Long Island, his grandmother and her sister lived together. They both were elderly, and they both succumbed to the virus. And so, in the Bahamas, it is extremely, extremely dangerous right now. You have the hospital; people are literally dying who could survive from COVID, but because it's so maxed out in terms of oxygen, healthcare workers, hospital space, because we're a very small country. So it's a very bleak set of circumstances in the Bahamas right now. So, in your praying, whenever you set a moment aside to pray, or if you think about me, or if you think about the Bahamas, please keep them lifted in prayer as we try to navigate through this very, very tough time. There's been a lot of deaths, and I'm talking about in multiple people in one family, like a husband and a wife would go. So that means children have lost both parents within a week of one another. So I've lost a lot of friends in the Bahamas to COVID, and so just please be very mindful. Even if you are traveling to the Bahamas, please be mindful of that as well. I know you're going on vacation, but know that this is a real thing. And to all of the you know people who are COVID is a myth and all this stuff, let me tell you, I've seen that thing up close. It's not a myth. So that's all I have to say. That's what's going on in my neck of the woods.
That's a lot. Thank you for sharing. Definitely got to keep you and the islands in prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend earlier this year. She lost both her parents in one weekend. She lost the mom on Friday and lost her dad on Sunday. So it's true. Then I know of another person. She lost 7 cousins to the virus. So it's real, man. It's really real. And in New York, 87.2% of New Yorkers age 18 and over have at least one dose of the vaccine. We are now at actually the positive rate dropped down to 2%. But sadly, 33 people passed away yesterday from the virus. So I've read overall in the nation, it's dropped like at least 25% in new cases, which is great. It's big, but we gotta do our part, And it's funny enough, Sunday, right? It's gonna be the only day where people probably won't complain about wearing masks. You know what I mean? It's probably the only time, everybody's gonna actually be wearing a mask who's gonna be outside. But there was a question here. My man D Proverbs. Are they still throwing eggs in Brooklyn? Yes. Yes, they are. Some traditions don't die. So they're still throwing eggs. They still do the shaving cream. The baby powder in socks. They lump you up with the socks. What they used to do, which is horrible, is put meat in the socks. So and attack the girls so that the girls could lose their hair. So that's back in the day. I don't think they do that anymore. You know what I mean? They don't do that anymore. So, and then I think someone asked you, Phil Fox, about Ready to Die, the album. Oh, the action figure. Yeah, yeah. So that's a real hip hop person. He actually has the action figure. It's not a game for Phil Fox. Okay, it's not a game.
You just don't know what you're gonna get in this bodega. You just, this is the one place where it's unpredictable.
You never know. You
You
never
just never
know.
know. Mr. Phil
Yeah.
Fox put out the Biggie ready to die. You know what? I can't.
Man, I
I
showed up
can't.
to apologetics conference with a Biggie T-shirt. Alfredo was like, "He's the only guy that can do that."
That's the only dude. The only dude. Not meat. Neat. It's called neat. Not meat. Yeah, women getting hit by leg of lamb. No, bro. No. It's neat. It's NE. I forgot how you spell it. It's a. I don't know if they didn't even sell it anymore. It's like an old school.
Is it like Nair?
Yeah, it's like Nair.
No,
right.
okay.
Ooh.
Right. That I'm dating myself here.
So neat. I knew instantly when you said neat. I knew exactly what you're talking about.
You.
I'm glad one of us knew because I was like,
Some old school
I was thinking myself too, like
stuff. You know what I mean?
they're hitting them with meat.
like, how you look your hair with
How does that equate to them losing hair?
Yeah, right.
what kind of meat is this? Raw meat? Is it
for a sirloin
contaminated?
steak and lost half my throat? Nah, that's not. But
this is some contaminated meat. That's that pagan meat.
Real,
That's that pagan meat.
real.
And speaking of pagan, so
Uh-oh.
I know many people are probably wondering, what are we doing, talking about, or even having a Halloween special, right?
How dare you?
How dare us, right? And this is something that both non-believers and believers have issue with, right? And every time this year we get into these same conversations about whether or not this or that holiday is pagan. And as believers, we have to understand, why we do what we do or why we don't do what we don't do, and because of the information age, there's a whole bunch of misinformation as well, and as believers, it's up to us. We got to dig deep and we have to research so that we can articulate why we do what we do or why we don't do what we don't do, right? Now, as Shadi says, and I concur, I just want you to know, I personally do not do Halloween. All right? So this is not me capping for my favorite holiday. If they cancel Halloween, I could care less. Don't care, right? So this is not about BK wanting to hold on to. Well, I do like horror movies though, Shadi. There we part. But I do not participate in Halloween. That's just me, But the question is, should believers participate in this holiday, right? So the question really is Halloween pagan? All right. All week we've seen the memes, we've seen the videos, right? And people who have great intentions, ex-witches and warlocks who are now, saved, talking about the horrors of this day called Halloween. And we just really need to, whether or not you participate in it or not, you should know what it really is. And to do that, you need to research. And when I say research, I don't mean accepting the first entry in your Google search engine. That is not research. Right? You got to dig a little deep, look into the history, right? And we got to think things out, right? So, yeah, I mean, like Soul Galactic Lover here says, I think there is a difference between celebrating it or dressing up as a tomato just to get candy. Honestly, with that right there, we can actually end the video right there, because that's basically what I'm going to come to. Grand opening, grand closing, right? So, but no, we're going to get into it, though. We're going to get into it a little bit here. So let's define terms. You know me, I'm always a stickler for that. We're going to have any conversation about any subject, we got to define terms, right? So the term pagan, right? The word we've been hearing a lot of this week is a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions, right? That's a very layman surface definition of pagan, okay? Holiday is a day of festivity or recreation when no work is done. right? Again, very basic definition. So a pagan holiday would be a day of festivity or recreation of a religious belief other than those of the main world religions. I'm going to say it again. So a pagan holiday would be, by definition, a day of festivity or recreation of a religious belief other than those of the main world religions, right? And I've shared this before in previous things, but I just want to set the tone before we get into some of the history here. This is a book entitled "The Deities Are Many: A Polytheistic Theology" by Jordan Paper, and this is Michael Heiser's take on this particular author. And he says, "I have read Paper's book on polytheism called "The Gods Are Many." Jordan Paper is a practicing polytheist. He's retired now from teaching, but I still see him from time to time at SBL meetings. I know what he looks like. He's a practicing polytheist. And he was very transparent about his faith. That is his this is a scholarly meeting. He's not holding anything back here. He says basically this only works if you solicit this kind of contact. It doesn't just happen. You have to want it, and you have to do things to solicit it, and the powers, he used those terms, the powers, the gods, the spirits will respond if you are open to their contact, to what they can do for you. And this was his faith, right? So this coincides very much with the definition of a pagan holiday, right? It's a day, it's a religious day. There's intent for what happens that day. You know, you can't walk down the street, trip and fall, and you're worshiping Saturnalia. That's not how it works, right? It's about intent and purpose. When you're doing something and you're involved with a certain ritual, well, what's the intent? Why are you doing why are you wearing what you're wearing? What's the intent behind it? What's the purpose behind it, right? We have to think this way, okay? So we have to see what's the intent and purpose of Halloween. So we're going to get into that. And this is actually from a website called History for Atheists, right? This is an actual atheist breaking it down, right? So he doesn't believe in any God. He has no horse in this race. And he said the name Halloween or Halloween is a traditional contracted form of All Hallows Eve. This is in turn a reference to the Feast of All Saints Day, traditionally called All Hallows Day or simply All Hallows, or sometimes Hallowmas in English. In the Catholic liturgical year, All Saints Day falls on November 1st each year, and as a first rank feast day, was always celebrated with a Virgil and later with an octave. This means that it was not only celebrated on the day itself, but also like Easter Sunday, Christmas Day, with preparatory prayers and a mass the night before the octave. An extended 8-day sequence of liturgy following the feast day was added by Pope Sixtus. I forgot which Roman number. Is that 6, that Roman numeral? I'm not even sure.
4.
That's 4, thank you. In 1480, though it was removed in the 20th century, the Virgil held the evening before, however, seems as old as the feast itself. So Halloween refers to this Virgil and its associated traditions. So the actual intent of it's All Hallows Eve, right? The Catholic belief, and I'm sure maybe some other churches as well, maybe the Eastern Orthodox, you know, they have this day, you know, All Saints Day, November 1st, where they commemorate, you know, those saints who have fallen, those who have, you know, who have passed on, right? It's somewhat similar to, you know, when you watch the Oscars or the Grammys and they'll take that moment of, you know, let's remember the artists that passed this year. That's kind of what they do, but with the saints, right? So, of course, the day before that is the eve of that day. So that would be All Hallows Eve. And as, you know, the etymological process continues throughout the centuries, it becomes Halloween, right? That's the actual intent and purpose of the day. Now, whether or not Catholics should be doing that, that's a different conversation, all right? But we need to know, well, is this day? It's to prepare to remember believers who have passed on. All right. Now, before we continue, you guys want to add anything to this before we move on? Let me bring in Mr. Dr. Doom himself. So we get it, right? This is the actual day. This is what it is. It's to prepare to remember those who have passed on who believed in Jesus.
So we're not worshiping Sam Hain? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Great segue. Thank you for the alley-oop. Right? Because what is obviously missing from all this is any hint of influence by anything quote-unquote pagan, let alone some Irish or Celtic festival presided over by Druids. Even if the dedication of the chapel in St. Peter's by Gregory was not the origin of November 1st date, and the practice arose independently in England and spread to Francia via the influence of English scholars like Alcuin, there is a serious problem with the idea that this was due to Irish Celtic influence on England. This is because the earliest Irish reference to All Saints' Day does not have it celebrated there on November 1st, but April 20th. So, saying all that, right, they had little discrepancies with what day will be the appropriate day for All Saints' Day. But even with all that, there's nothing pagan about, bickering over dates. But the reason why we believe Halloween is pagan is because we believe that its origin comes from this holiday, right? Samhain. So let's talk about that. And there's a book here called Trick or Treat, A History of Halloween by Lisa Martin. And she says, in 1762, British military engineer Charles Valency was sent to Ireland on a surveying mission. Valency, however, was no ordinary engineer. He was extraordinarily well-read in history and linguistics, corresponded with many of the leading proponents of the then fashionable Orientalism, and fancied himself a scholar and writer. He soon developed an obsession with the lore and language of Ireland's ancient Celts, and he wrote hundreds of pages of collected fact, observation, and speculation on the Green Isles' early inhabitants. There was one problem. Much of what Valency recorded was raw. By 1786, when Valency published the third volume of his opus, Colentina de Rubis Harbernicus, it was already well established that the name Samhain or Showin referred to the 3-day Celtic New Year celebration that began when the sun went down on the 31st of October. Other linguists have recorded the translation of summer's end for Samhain. So the actual word is understood to just mean the end of, summer's end. But Valency believed that it was a false derivation and went on to state that Samhain was actually a Celtic deity who was also known as Baal-Sab, or Baal is Lord, or Sabdeth. It didn't seem to matter much that the name Baal-Sab appears nowhere else in Celtic lore, or even that Valency's work was dismissed during his lifetime. The Orientalist scholar Sir William Jones said of Valency, quote, "Do you wish to laugh? Skim the book over. Do you wish to sleep? Read it regularly." He was a hack. He was what we call now pseudo. All right? He was pseudo. Like, it wasn't the name of a deity. It was the name of the festival that happened at the end of summer. There was no god named Samhain. There wasn't. He just made this up out of just thin air. Okay? Somehow, Valency's work found its way into library shelves all over Britain and formed a strange alternate history of Samhain and its decadent Halloween that ran alongside the traditional Celtic folklore texts and Irish dictionaries that defined the word correctly. Nearly 2 centuries after Valency first journeyed to Ireland, books like Halloween through 20 centuries were still referring to Samhain, Lord of the Dead. By the early 1990s, Christian groups throughout America were urging parents to keep their children from celebrating a holiday during which human beings were burned as an offering in order to appease and cajole Samhain, the Lord of Death. So in other words, it's fake news, guys. This dude decided to write this crazy book saying Samhain was this pagan deity. There is no deity named Samhain. There isn't any. He made it up. It's nowhere in Celtic lore. People made fun of the book, but somehow the book gained traction, and here we are today. You know, how many times, how many memes, how many videos have you seen people, you know, correlate All Saints Day with Samhain? Where when you dig a little deeper, you see that there is no correlation. You know, so before I continue, any thoughts, comments?
Well, in Halloween 6, Michael Myers, they said that the reason why he slaughtered his sister was because he was part of the Druid cult and his sister was a sacrifice. So that's funny because I never realized, it went this deep, but now it makes sense of why that one was that stupid.
Right. So, but let's talk a little bit more about this Samhain holiday, right? So let's look at that real quick. It says Samhain was also an important day for administration, akin to the U.S. tax day in modern times. A yearly gathering was held at Tara, the ancient seat of kings, where 3 days' worth of feasting and sporting alternate with debt repayment and trials. Those who were found guilty of particularly severe crimes were executed then as well. Before the eve of Samhain, all home health fires were extinguished, and the Druids used need fire, a fire created by friction, to construct a bonfire on the nearby hill of Tagada. Embers from this fire were distributed to each household, and a tax was exacted for the service. So the bonfire where they throw people in, no, it was fire so that you could see where you was going. And the Druids did that. Basically, the Druids were Con Ed. They were Con Ed. They would come and light, make sure you're well lit, and then you had to pay.
Wow.
It was the end of summer festival where everybody got their taxes done. Whatever court cases that needed to be done was done that day, and there was a 3-day festival. That's Samhain. Pay your taxes. Let's clear the docket of all court cases, and let's get some fires going so everybody can see what's going on.
I mean, I can see how tax day can be, scary to some folks.
Right. Right. Yes. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. I know another person, I think, shared as well. MJ Jackson, thank you, sir. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's giving me the Da Vinci Code vibes. You remember when Dan Brown came out with the book and everyone was like, this is it. This is the real thing. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting paid by the Vatican. I don't really know. It's like all of it just seems to file in together. That's what it's giving me. It's giving me the Da Vinci Code. Because I remember when that book came out and then the movie, you had so many people like, see, this is it. This is it.
Convinced.
Had a wife and all this kind of stuff and a baby, and it's the seed of Jesus that the Catholic Church is protecting. Anyway, now all of a sudden the Vatican has everything in the what do they call it, in the basement of the Vatican, and the UA gets paid by them. So
right.
Yeah, there you go.
I ain't seen a check yet.
You can end the show.
Maybe we'll get it on tax day.
Yeah, at the end of summer. Right.
Well, I put it in the chat, right? I'm like, taxes, hello, anybody? That's terrible, and it induces terror on all of us, right? I mean,
I
how
stop
wonderful your check would be if you didn't have to pay taxes at all.
Yeah,
right.
I would be. I understand the terror. I get it.
Right.
And I watch too many scary movies. Hey, I watched too many scary movies because all I could think of was January Ember Flames. When they light the fire, I gotta get myself together.
Right.
You know what, JP? Sit down.
But I think somebody put in the chat that it sounds like your show yesterday that we're talking about how these things came to be and people came to believe them. When you really start pulling the string, you see that it really started from not knowing or taking something that wasn't communicating anything at all that you now believe and are holding fast to. But I think that's really interesting. Taxes.
Oh, it gets more interesting. It gets more interesting. So So there is one story that kind of sort of coincides with this idea that this thing occurs in Shanwen. So the idea that the world of the Sede, the fairy folk Irish legend, is open to the mundane world at certain times of year is also found associated with Beltane. But even here, we do not find any indication of ritual or religious observance. Perhaps the closest we get to that is in the story called The Law of Places, also from the 12th century. So this is not ancient, right? This is 12th century, which tells a story of St. Patrick throwing down an idol of the pagan god Chrome. I can't even say the whole thing. The plane of prostration. And it says that the firstlings of every issue and the chief scions of every clan were sacrificed to this idol. It also details how each year Shanwen, the High King, would lead the people in prostrating themselves before the idol of Chrome, and how they would fling themselves on the ground so violently that 3/4 of them died each time. Other later versions of how Patrick ended the worship of this god also mentions sacrifices of children to his idol, but makes no mention of Shamwin. Hutton is skeptical of whether these stories reflect anything historical and concludes, quote, this story sounds like a medieval Christian fantasy, developing over time and growing more lurid with each retelling. It should be noted that even in these stories, the references to child sacrifice to this idol are not associated with Shamwin. So the closest you get to what people say Halloween is a story about St. Patrick actually stopping people from killing in the name of a god. So the fairy tale is actually a Christian victory. St. Patrick stopped people from sacrificing to Chrome. That's what they're celebrating. It's a win. It's a win. But it's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale of what St. Patrick did. So this is as close as you get to what people claim Halloween is. That's as close as you get. So yes, there's a lot of zeitgeist. There's a lot of, a lot of Dan Brown vibes going on, right? So, any thoughts before we continue? Any thoughts? So we see that Shamwin was just the end of the year where people paid their debts, either monetarily or they paid their debts to society through trial, and got new lighting by the Con Ed of their time, aka the Druids. All right, that's what happened. That's what happened. So now we're gonna look at a couple of ideas that are very prevalent in Halloween today, right? And one of them, of course, is trick or treats. This gotta be pagan, right? Gotta be some ancient Near Eastern ritual that just continued over and came to the Americas, right? That's what it gotta be, right? Well, let's see. All right. The earliest recorded usage of the actual phrase trick or treats in connection with Halloween comes from Alberta, Canada, where in 1927, shout out to CMB, by the way, Canada, blame Canada, a newspaper article reported on pranksters demanding trick or treat at houses, although no mention of costuming is made. By the 1930s, the phrase in connection with Halloween and costume children seemed to be working its way down through northern USA, as states like Oregon reported that young goblins and ghosts employing modern shakedown methods successfully worked the trick-or-treat system. One of the first national mentions of trick-or-treat in an article of 1939 entitled A Victim of the Window Soaping Brigade, which both refers to trick-or-treat as the age-old Halloween salutation and makes it plain that the practice was a method of subverting rowdy pranking. Still, it wasn't until the Second World War where rationing was over and the luxuries like candy was once again readily available. So trick-or-treat from the 1900s, guys. And it was a way where kids would, go and hassle people for candy. That's what trick or treat is. And it started in Canada. It started in
Canada.
Thanks a lot, CMB. You're welcome. So it's not some ancient druid practice. 1930s. Kids being kids.
So Canadian children are equivalent to the mob because they're shaking down people for candy?
Word.
Nice setup.
And we learned the setup. We learned the finesse, and we brought it over here.
Right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was a finesse. Exactly. All right. So the next thing, right? The jack-o'-lantern. This gotta be pagan. Oh man, if there's anything pagan about Halloween, gotta be this guy, right? All right. Well, starting in the 1800s, not ancient. It's not even antiquity. This is the modern age, right? Starting in the 1800s, Benetton says countries in Northern Europe developed their own customs of carving faces into vegetables in the fall season. In Ireland and Scotland, for example, people would carve faces into turnips, and beets were used in other places as well. Through the 19th century, immigrants very well could have brought their vegetable carving tradition to the U.S. Benetton says it was actually something else that really popularized the carving of a pumpkin, its potential as a prank. Before Halloween was widely celebrated in the United States, kids started taking pumpkins, which were overwhelmingly plentiful during the months of September and October, and carving faces into them. After sticking a candle in the pumpkin to light it up, kids would run around, Benetton tells Time magazine, frightening people with the spooky-looking objects. The so-called carved pumpkin trick became so popular there were even how-to articles printed in magazines as early as 1842. So you have this custom of these people from, these European countries during fall, during harvest, for fun. They would carve little faces in the fruit that they not fruit, but the vegetables that they made. So the kids being kids, right? They're like, let's make scary ones. And then somebody got real smart. It's like, you know what? Let's hollow out this pumpkin because the pumpkins are big. We can make a big scary face, and we can put this candle in, and we can scare people. Which sounds like what kids like to do, right? So where's the jack-o'-lantern part, right? And this is before Halloween. They would do it prior to the day. So where do we get this idea of who's Jack, right? We got the pumpkin part down, but who's Jack, right? So where did the name Jack come from? There are a few steps in the story. The etymology of jack-o'-lantern is almost unrelated to its modern meaning and tradition. According to one prominent theory, the Jack in question is the subject of an old folktale. The story, which has several different iterations, can be traced back to as long ago as 1551. Again, this is not ancient. Benetton says that, and is quite sinister indeed. Often called Stingy Jack, he spends much of his life tricking the devil. Doesn't sound like too bad of a guy to me. If he could, he's tricking the devil. He spends most of his time beating the devil in the head, basically, right? In many versions of the story, he frustrates the devil so much that upon his death, he is locked out from the gates of hell. The devil leaves Jack with nothing other than a burning piece of coal, and Jack wanders aimlessly for the rest of eternity, just as a ghost with his floating lights. Jack of the Lantern, according to that version of the history, became Jack-o'-lantern. Based on Jack's tale, there remains a bit of irony in his pumpkin's symbolic ability for bringing people together, and the pumpkin itself was a rather sinister vegetable historically. Benetton writes, in fact, European art from the 16th century used the pumpkin as a symbol for North American untamed wilderness. As she explains, but still, the story of Jack and his lantern has nothing to do with a pumpkin. And that is the jack-o'-lantern. That's how we get Jack. We get Stingy Jack, who was tricking the devil. The devil's tight with this dude. It's like, when you die, you can't come over here because I don't like you. So now you got to wander the earth with this coal, lighting the way in an actual lantern. And then somehow they synthesize that with the rowdy teens making scary pumpkins. And now we have Jack O'Lantern.
Man.
Thoughts?
It's sort of reminiscent to in there's these it's like cautionary tales and stuff that that a lot of native communities have, like my tribe in particular, we call them coyote, we call them coyote stories. Old Man Coyote was the character in the Sioux culture. They have this individual called Iktomi, which is the spider. It's essentially the same stuff. It's just cautionary tales. It sounds like this same type of stuff of this jack-o'-lantern, or this Jack who's tricking the devil. It's essentially the same thing. But in native culture, there is no devil per se, but it's essentially these cautionary tales that are trying to give you life lessons in a fun manner, and like in our the Iktomi stories and the Old Man Coyote stories. Like, Old Man Coyote always ends up dying, because he's doing stupid stuff like like greed. Like, there's this one story where he he tricked this seagull, or this bird that was going down and diving, and he tricked him into showing him how to do that. But he got all the fish in the pond, but then it was too heavy for him, so then he ended up drowning and died. And so, like, there's all these these different types of things. So that's sort of what it reminds me of with those things.
Wow. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we all like, I could think of different things in the Bahamas where, growing up there. So as a child, there was this uh scary person, that his name was Winky. And I think he was like a criminal. He did like criminal things in the Bahamas. And so all of a sudden, because the Bahamas was so small and we didn't really have a lot of very heinous crimes happening, right? So you didn't hear often about women being kidnapped or raped or anything like that. So when someone does it, or in the past for sure, when someone did it, that person became, this notorious type person. And so now all of these folklores and different things emerged about what he did. But when you pull the records and actually saw what he did, it's like he was a peeping Tom. But because it just wasn't, people didn't do these things. And so when someone did it, now he's infamous for being this person that comes and gets little girls. And this is what they would scare us with and say, oh, Winky's gonna come and get you. Y'all, I used to be so afraid of this dude called Winky. And now that I'm older and I'm able to be like, but wait, what did he do? It wasn't peeping Tom, but it was akin to it. It wasn't as drastic as they made it seem, but it was something that we were afraid of as children. So it made me think of that. But on a side note, kind of off topic, we started talking about the jack-o'-lanterns. All I could think about is, y'all remember when McDonald's during the October, and they had the Happy Meal with the little pumpkin and everything would be in the pumpkin? Y'all, I used to want one of them so bad. Like, I wanted one of them joints so bad. And my mom, not because she felt some type of way about the jack-o'-lantern, but your mom would be like, you got McDonald's money? Like, but I used to want one of them little pumpkin Happy Meal buckets so bad. But that was a little bit off topic.
That's cool. I mean, in Puerto Rico, we had our monster was the cucuyo. And he was always the guy that you would use him to scare the kids to act right. It's like, if you don't go to bed, the cucuyo's gonna come get you. It's like, oh, I don't want that. Now, I don't know what that was, but the word itself just sounds terrifying. So I'm like, that was enough for me to be like, all right, I don't want to meet this dude. Yeah,
I've been that guy a few times too. I was gonna come get you.
Yeah, we had a guy. He had a hook hand, and he used to pass out candy to kids.
I think we know what I'm talking about. He was in the projects, right?
He was in the projects.
Chicago, right?
In Chicago, that's right.
In Chicago, that's right.
He hid in the wall too.
Don't say his name. Don't say his name 4 times.
Caprini Green Projects. Yeah, he was in Caprini Green Projects. Yeah.
I'm so traumatized. Anything that he's in, I don't want to watch it.
Are you talking about Tony Todd, or are you talking about the character?
The dude, the actor, like him himself.
Tony Todd.
Sharon.
Like you, whatever you in, I don't want to watch it. I don't care if you like.
The remake was pretty decent too. I like the remake.
Yeah, I like the remake.
Was good, man.
Neither one of them are scary, Shawnee.
I don't do horror.
Oh, the remake was a little. It wasn't terrifying. It was suspenseful.
It was more like a thriller, right?
It wasn't scary though.
It was good though.
Sorry, I was ruined as a child with no, I can't do it.
I understand.
No.
So we started talking about intent and purpose, right? And we're gonna end this part of what we're talking about with that same understanding. This is from Elements of Old Testament Worship by John D.W. Watts from the Journal of American Academy of Religion. The English word worship is unique, making a translation into other languages difficult. At least 2 Hebrew words are used to express the same general idea. One carries the idea of, quote, service, and is then used in the special meaning of religious service. The second means to bow down and denotes the individual's participation in worship. The ancient Hebrew, like his neighbors of that period, thought of worship purely in terms of ritual or cult. He worshiped God at specific holy places through the use of definite holy objects, altars, pillars, trees, etc., with the help and leadership of certain holy men, priests, prophets, in definite holy ways through sacrifice and ritual, and at fixed holy days or periods, festivals, Sabbaths, etc. Therefore, to think of Hebrew worship is a preforce to consider ritual behavior and intention. Right? When they worship Yahweh, they had procedures, they had intent and purpose. They know exactly what they were worshiping. And so did the people who worship the gods outside of Israel. You know, we've talked about, you know, these when they would create this idol, the pagans knew that these little figurines were not the gods that they worship, but they wanted those gods to enter those figurines. So they would have these elaborate opening of the mouth ceremonies. That's intent. Like, I'm doing this because I need this deity to come into this idol so me and this idol, this God, can interface. Intent, purpose. Okay? And the reason why I bring that up is the question you have to ask yourself. Are Christians actively soliciting contact with other gods during Halloween? This is what you got to ask yourself. Because I don't participate in Halloween, and neither does Shani, right? But we know that our neighbors, if they're believers, right? If their son wants to dress like Captain America and their daughter wants to dress like a princess, what's the intent and purpose of them doing that? If you ask a kid, they'll tell you, it's like, well, this is my favorite character, and I want to go get candy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the intent and purpose. There's nothing about worship.
Nothing about worshiping the God of Disney.
None of that. They just want to have fun and dress up like their favorite cartoon character. That's it. And those who still harp on the idea that, a Christian shouldn't participate in Halloween because, of the things that we just debunked, right? What they're actually exposing is that they have a very cheap sense of worship.
Uh-oh.
And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if all it takes is for me to have a jack-o'-lantern on my porch to invite a pagan deity, then all it takes for me to be a Christian is to wear Jesus piece.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when I say it like that, I'm like, well, following Christ, that's a commitment. Right. It is. It is. It is. But if you're saying that that's all it takes for you to be a pagan is to have a pumpkin or a Christmas tree, right? Oops. That's all it takes, then you have a very low sense of commitment when it comes to this, worshiping God. So now I gotta look at you kind of with the side eye. It's like, You really think that that's all it takes to worship Jesus, to be a disciple of Christ? You know, so that's problematic if you're a believer. And if you have a low sense of worship, you need to repent. You need to repent. So, questions, comments.
Word.
I just want to say earlier you mentioned like the witches and warlocks who turned to Christianity. Like I'm thankful that they, gave their life to Christ, but most of those people were participating in witchcraft all year round. So it's
Right,
not
right.
like there was no certain spell that changes because you're doing it on Halloween. You were actively participating in rituals all year round. It wasn't just, oh, none of them worked until Halloween came around. They worked because you were, as Shawnee say, playing with demons. They worked because you were playing with demons. And it wasn't just on Halloween they worked. They worked whenever you actively participated in playing with demons. So with that testimony saying we shouldn't celebrate Halloween because I used to be a witch or a warlock and this is what you're doing, that's not something that we're doing on any day of the year as actual Christians. Um, Most kids, like you said, just really want to get candy. Because if I ask them kids in my house, hey, you like Sam Hain, they're gonna be like, who's that? And my brother's
Right.
name's Sam, so they probably like Uncle Sam. Yeah, we like Uncle Sam. So they're not going to be like, yeah, the Druid God of Crumb. We know him. We celebrate him on today. Like
That's my
they
guy.
get, yeah. Now they just gonna be like, they're gonna be like, hey, we get like they didn't go trick or treating because it was raining yesterday, and so I just bought them candy. They didn't care that they didn't go because they had their own big bags of candy that they didn't have to go ask nobody for. They just had the candy. That's all most kids, like you said, they shake down people for candy. That's all them kids care about. They're not like, let us call upon the gods of old and worship them on this night. Like kids like, fam, can we just get a couple pieces of candy? Can we get a full Snickers bar or something out this deal? That's all we really want. You ask them who Sam Hain is, they're gonna be like, I never met the man. Is he a teacher at my school? I guess I guess very flabbergasted. I celebrated Halloween my whole life. I actually like the Halloween season for these shenanigans. Really, I guess
Right,
this is
right.
the reason why I like it. I don't really care about candy or whatever, but yeah. So again, I appreciate they are now Christians, but that was an active lifestyle for them, regardless of what season it was.
Great point. Great point.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought that up, that just having the tree or having the jack-o'-lantern, and comparing it to having a Jesus piece, or even saying, I'm a Christian, but you've never, repented and believed the gospel. I think I would bring up Romans 14 in this case, in the sense of, you know, one, for yourself, if it's okay for you to participate in the trick-or-treating and the wearing of the costumes and all that kinds of stuff, like don't place don't bastardize someone because they refuse to do so. But I think the flip side of it too is not being a stumbling block for someone else. So for example, if I was close friends with someone who used to be a witch or a warlock or ex-Satanist, and I know, what this could trigger or anything like that, or even if I know someone who would potentially stumble because of this, then as Romans 14 talks about, then you refrain from that, not because you yourself think that it is some inherently sinful thing, but because you care about your brother or your sister enough not to present a stumbling block for them. And that you see Paul present that. I also think that as we do in all things, that we should look at what it is that we are engaging in, because even in these aspects of Halloween that's more American, that's not about worshiping any deity or trying to connect with the dead or doing any seances or whatever. There are certain aspects of Halloween that it has nothing to do with worshiping another deity, but it's just It's just not in line with what we believe as Christians, and how we should, conduct ourselves amongst everyone else. And it doesn't really line up with what Christ stands for and with our faith stands for. So in those instances, like we do in everyday life, you need to look at those things and think about these things biblically, and choose to refrain from engaging in those things. But again, just the mere concept of a little kid dressing up as, a little fairy knocking on your door trying to give you some candy, like, don't put, if your conscience has you refraining from doing that, do so. But that doesn't make me, non-Christian, because I do. And then if I know that this is going to produce or create a stumbling block for you, then as your sister in Christ, I should be concerned about that. And I should, do my best not to present that stumbling block for you. That's all I got. And then to live holy. Live holy. That's all. That's all I got. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that was good stuff, man. JP says, that's right. So, and before we wrap things up, I thought it'd be kind of cool. Now, I know, Shadi, you're not a big horror fan, but a lot of us are. So, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we count down the 10 best religious horror movies according to IMDb. So, people in the chat and the people on the panel, before we get into that, we have a statement from Apologist in Detroit. So,
yeah, I came in late, and so I had to go back and watch some of the replay while the show was live to make sure that I'm not being redundant. But earlier when you were talking about the All Saints Day, like if you're aware, October 31st is also Reformation Day. It's the day that Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses on the castle on the church in Wittenberg, right? Well, that happened because of All Saints Day. It was strategic. It was because All Saints Day was the day where people prayed for the dead. It's talking about purgatory. It's talking about people who are stuck in between heaven and death. And so part of the reason that October 31st is Reformation Day is because part of his protest was the fact that he was objecting to this notion that a place like purgatory would exist, and that people in the church had the Pope in particular had the privilege to be able to get people out of it. So that whole association between All Saints Day and Halloween is why October 31st is Reformation Day. Just thought it was be cool to point that out, because I'm pretty sure all our Reformed friends will be reminding us this weekend of Reformation Day, and I don't think people often recognize the association between the two.
Right. Nah, that's good stuff. So there's more to it than throwing eggs at people and throwing not meat in women's hair. So, but with that, ladies and gentlemen, right? And yeah, I mean, someone asked about just horror films in general. Who asked this?
Soul Galactic Lover. I just wanted to say the name. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Right. He's talking about, yeah, I think, we need to be careful what we see, especially when it comes to children, of a certain age, and they're not going to fully understand what's going on. But certain horror films actually make for great contextualization of the gospel, believe it or not, Mm-hmm. So It depends on the actual movie, So
I think it's one of the best genres in the sense of the contrast. Most other genres of movies, like now you hear a lot about anti-heroes, and you hear, they call them protagonists. Like they try to gray the line between who's actually good and who's actually bad in most movies, with the exception of the horror genre. The horror genre is really this genre that makes this sharp distinction and contrast in who's good, who's bad, and what powers each one holds. So,
right.
Good stuff. So,
shameless plug before you go, on Real Reviews, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. We did a review of The Exorcist, which should be on this list. I haven't seen the list.
Well, we shall see.
The Exorcist should be on the list. But we did a review on it. It was the review was amazing. It was glorious in all of its work.
No, it was definitely dope. It's definitely dope. So, people in the chat, what do you think is the 10 most famous religious horror movie?
Definitely.
Put it in the chat.
She just mentioned one.
The Exorcist is on there. The Omen.
Okay.
The little bad little boy or girl, whatever.
Okay.
Damon.
Okay.
Yes, Damien. And Conjuring.
All right, so let's see what number 10 is. The Ninth Gate.
Boo.
Never heard of it.
That movie is not a horror movie.
It
wasn't a horror movie.
It's a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Devil's Advocate considered a horror?
No, Shawnee.
No, that's
I'm just asking.
I mean, that's more like a drama suspense. Good movie though.
Number 9, The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
That movie was actually pretty good.
This is what ruined me though.
I like the one of I like the one of Deborah Logan better.
Was that the more original one? The first one or something like that? I don't know. My grandmother loved horror. Okay.
So you watched this film, Shawnee?
Not this one. The early, like, whatever was like in the 80s or the 90s, whatever.
Children of the Corn should be on this list too then.
With the little girl, and she was in the bed, and she was like, her makeup, you could tell, like, if you watch it now, you'd be like, that was a whack makeup.
Was it The Exorcist?
The Exorcist, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, those are part of the things that ruined this genre for me, because my grandmother.
Really? The Exorcist?
The Exorcist?
Y'all, let me tell y'all, that thing had me scared for months.
The floating over the bed, the head spinning.
I'm like, nah.
The book is worse. The book is legitimately
I'm gonna get
scary.
that.
The book is legitimate.
So, is Children of the Corn on this list?
We shall see. Number 8, The Witch.
That movie's good. It's shockingly good. I was very surprised.
I've never seen this either.
I can't remember.
It was on Netflix for a while.
Okay. Number 7, Constantine.
This
was good.
That was good.
That's good, but it's not scary though.
I forgot Shia LaBeouf was in this movie.
It deals with fallen angels and Satan shows up. I mean,
they might as well put Legion on this list. This is not even horror.
The devil is in this one. There's angels. There's fallen angels. There's the devil.
Y'all almost crucified me for saying The Devil's Advocate, which is why I didn't say Constantine.
I love that film though. Love that.
Yeah, I like the movie, but Constantine shouldn't be on this list. I could see The Devil. It's a movie called Devil. I can see that movie. This movie, Constantine.
Yeah, this is a horror flick though.
See, Devil wasn't scared. Fallen was pretty good.
That was a good.
Fallen was good, but it's not a horror.
It's not a horror movie either.
It is. It's about
remember, this is religious horror.
Religious horror.
I can think of 10 movies that's not this. I can think of 10 movies that's actual horror films that could. Who made this list?
Would you say the devil religious? Would you say that the movie Devil on the Elevator? You think that movie is?
It's more of a.
That's what they're thinking. The people.
That's what horror. That's more horror than Fallen and Constantine. I mean, it's not horror either. But
Fallen was really good. I like Fallen.
Fallen is a great movie.
Yeah, good movie.
The Wicker Man.
No, that actually is a good movie. I would consider this one a horror movie.
Okay.
Nick Cage in his day.
Number 4, The Conjuring.
I knew it.
It was okay.
You haven't saw that, Shotty?
No.
I think The Conjuring's a love story.
Maybe one thing on this list so far.
I would agree. The Wizard of Oz. The Conjuring's a love story. It's not really a horror movie, but we'll go with it.
Number 3, The Omen.
Shiny! Damien!
One of the other things that terrorized me as a child.
So we need to do a re-reviews on The Omen so Shadi could be in the panel.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
I could never watch it, and I'm giving it 0 stars.
Wow.
You give everything 0 stars.
Not surprised.
This one is a deserved 0 star. No.
I give it 3.5.
Rosemary's Baby.
What?
Baby.
Another one that traumatized me as a child. Yeah.
I'm disappointed in this list.
All right, people in the chat, what do you think is the number 1 religious?
The Exorcist. The Exorcist. How is Children of the Corn now? The little boy jumped up and was like, Malachi. He who walks behind the corn, is that he didn't make the list? Look, it was literally red, moving up and down. That was like hot back in the days. Like that. That's the only movie that ever scared me, and that didn't make the list. Like they had like a whole little church called Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn.
You Constantine or Children of the Corn?
So bad, y'all. I was in Pennsylvania for work. Okay, the office where I was working, across from it were cornfields. Let me tell y'all. And it was like in this time, it was what they call it, daylight saving time, when time was back. One day I left up out of there and the sun had already set. I ran to my car. I got out of there real quick because the only thing I could think of and remember was Children of the Corn. And you got to think, like, this office where I was staying, it was very secluded. It was just cornfields. That's all you saw. And it took you about 10-15 minutes to get to where any type of other civilization was. Nah, it was a no for me. All I could see was the little black hat and then like the children. Like the only thing I saw was like children, just a pair on the front side of this cornfield. I was out. I was like, I'm out.
That's what I'm saying. Like it literally. Take out Fallen and put Children of the Corn.
Let's see what number one is. And the number one religious horror movie is
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
See, this is the girl right here. My grandmother be watching this, and she's like real intent, and I'm like,
she like throwing anointed oil at the TV.
No, my grandmother enjoyed, like, she would just watch it. She was kind of like Shell, like she would just watch this stuff. She's watching Halloween. She watched all of them.
I love Halloween.
Freddy and Jason and all these things. The
Hellraisers.
Hellraiser should have been on the list. Hellraiser could have been on the list. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Children of the Corn and Hellraiser on this list. Take off Constantine and Fallen and put Hellraiser.
American Werewolf in London? That transformation was scary. That's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, but it was pretty.
Pet Cemetery. I actually agree with that too.
I'm just so disappointed.
That traumatized me too when the little boy like got back like, nah, fam, y'all can't move. See, and then why do you have kids acting in this stuff? That bothers me too. Why are children in these things? Like, no, I can't move.
If they do TV shows, Supernatural should be number one. They literally have an angel named Castiel.
What was the one with Renee Zellweger when she was like a adoption social worker, and nobody would adopt this one little girl?
Oh, and she had the thing around her neck.
Orphan.
No, it wasn't Orphan. Orphan was when the lady was an adult. That was different.
Yeah, that's the one I think you're talking about.
This one was like when the family had the little girl in the oven, and she goes out to the house to check on them, and they got the girl in the oven, and they're holding the oven closed, and she stops it, and then she's like, "How come nobody will adopt this girl?" And she starts to take care of her, and the girl turns out to be like a demon or something. Case 39, that's what it is.
I never seen that. I'm gonna have to go watch that tonight.
It was good. Yeah, that movie was good. Case 39, it was pretty good.
I fall asleep to The Exorcist playing.
Gospel music.
The other one was good too. The one you just mentioned where the lady was an adult, acting like a little kid. Yeah, Orphan. Orphan was pretty good. That was a good twist. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
On the Bible app and just let it read the scriptures.
I'm going to watch Case 39 while Shawnee's listening to the Bible. Be like Shawnee.
You can Case 39, Michelle. You like Case 39.
That's crazy. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, we always like to know what our illustrious panel have in store in the immediate future. And we will start with Emoji Voorhees. He's. What you got going, Emoji?
I guess I'm probably just gonna, make an appearance on Facebook when people pretend something is funny when it's not. And then I'll probably just go hang out at Camp Crystal Lake. When the campers come back this summer, that's all I really got going on.
There you go. But Jason was definitely into purity culture because
and I am too.
Anytime some teens try to smash, kill them.
That's why I'm there. I'm there. That's why I'm still a virgin, because I'm into purity culture. And if I find you out here in these streets in Camp Crystal Lake about to do something you ain't supposed to be doing, just know you might not make it out alive. It ain't no Mike. You gonna run and I'm gonna walk slow, and guess who's still gonna win?
And you're gonna trip, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna trip.
That's all I'm saying. You can't. Exactly. And you can't run naked. It's not that easy.
And scene.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. Be ye ready. Be ye ready.
Thank you. And CMB is funny. He says, Jason's the ultimate youth pastor. Take heed lest you fall.
Michelle, you see the remake of "I Spit on Your Grave"? That's another good one.
I never.
You want to talk about movies Christian shouldn't see? They should.
I never
not
seen
see
the original.
What,
I never even seen the original.
They should not. The original. Oh, so nobody.
I never seen none of them.
You want the remake or the original?
Don't see the original.
Yeah,
you should see the remake either. The original.
Yeah, both of them were pretty dark. Both of them.
Yeah, the original. No.
And nobody should ever watch Human Centipede either. That's a movie nobody should ever watch.
No,
I've seen it.
I was like,
and I know why you say that now.
When the doctor was like waiting for them to go and all excited.
Yeah, I was like, no. I watched that and I said, what in the devil? Because it was like horror movies every horror fan should watch. And I was like, oh, let me see it. I said, oh. And now I won't watch that.
I'm like, yo.
Even I have a limit.
It's not scary. It's disgusting, but it's not scary.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
I watched The Fly. I'm good.
No, they're nothing alike. They're nothing alike. When I tell you,
gross.
When I tell you,
no, you don't know what gross is, Sean.
You don't know what gross is until you see Human Centipede.
What I'm saying to you is, I've reached my quota, the max. I don't want to watch it. I'm not.
You know what? When we have our retreat, it's horror movies the whole weekend.
Don't do that to Shawnee.
Don't do that to Shawnee. I can't do that to my sister.
She'll have a whole family there. She'll have a whole family there to comfort.
I am the queen of being able to roll with myself. I don't got to watch it with y'all. I don't got to feel left out. I don't have to feel no type of way. I will be in my own little corner doing my own little thing. And that's okay. When y'all finish watching it, I'm here.
I'll be in the corner reading my Bible.
Anyway.
Shawnee took me to the tour. It was like witches, vampires, and something.
Oh, you talking about
the woman that doesn't like horror films.
In the world.
Yes, no.
Of legitimate.
Yeah,
scary stuff, like legit.
Well,
stuff.
she didn't really want to.
That's funny.
She didn't want to. She would have did the history one if we could.
I won't see it on TV, but I'll show you the real thing, though.
She loved me. She did it.
Real spot.
Let's go there.
She did it because she loved me. She did. She did it because she loved me.
Middle of the day.
It was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So were you on the horse-drawn buggy?
No, we was walking. It was
the walking one. Okay.
No, and so we had like the people with us was like, oh, we love horror movies. Shawnee was like, no, I'm fine with that. And it was like, oh, we was talking to him. She was like, they kept trying to talk about horror film. Shawnee was like, no, this is enough right here. I'm fine.
Yeah, Connie and our kids did it at night. They did it at nighttime, but they had some drinks while they were doing it, and I don't think they even remembered most of it.
Yeah, we weren't going that night. You know what's funny? Originally, it was at night.
But I'll
she
give you
did
a
it for me
of the war
in the daytime.
The real ones.
It was daytime. So here's the thing: we was supposed to go. It wasn't a day.
I did it for Michelle.
She did, and I appreciate it.
Again. Third of all, I'm self-aware, okay, and I'm comfortable with me. I'm not watching it. I remember I was in college. This one of my guy friends, we were in engineering together, and they were talking about Saw, and they were like, "Oh, you need to watch Saw." I'm like, "I'm not watching that. I'm not watching Saw. I'm not watching Blade. I'm not watching none of it. I don't."
Blade's not a horror.
We had a study session at the dude's house, right? It was like about 5-10 of us or whatever. They put it on. Why did they? Two dudes was holding my hands down, a chick and another chick holding my feet, and this dude had my eyes open.
The intervention.
The movie so I could watch Saw because I was adamant that I was not watching Saw, and they were like, "Nah, you finna watch this," and they had my eyes open trying to make me watch like a part of the film, and I'm like,
give me their names when we get off of this live.
Oh man, all right. Easy, John Wick, easy.
Let me clean my gun real quick.
I'm thinking
clean the rifle.
Okay, I did watch Blade, but that's not my genre of film or anything. Blade, and the thing is, I have a sister. She loves this type of stuff. Not me, not so much. I'm good. I don't gotta watch it.
I like when Blade says some people are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I I think I watched like the first one.
The first two was good.
The second one was revolutionary. The villains in the second one, those Reaper Strain vampires. Matter of fact, they did that whole series, The Strain. The Strain was good. I like that series.
Yeah, that actually was good. Yeah. So since we got you talking about Detroit, what else? What other strains can we expect from you?
Yeah, man. My boy Phil, he been dropping. I've gotten to preach quite a bit lately. Some little mini sermonettes, and then at my church, and like Phil's been doing a great job of curating them for me, by graciously curating them for me. So nice. I've been dropping those. So if you haven't been to my YouTube channel, I've uploaded more on my YouTube channel in the last month than I did in the last 5 years.
There you go.
And I almost reached 100 subs. Ooh. I went from like 68 to like 90 something now. So like at some point I'm gonna have 100 subs, the oldest YouTube channel in the community, and I'm finally gonna hit 100 subs. So anyway, this Sunday I'm gonna be on the UA Clubhouse 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're gonna be with the Urban Apologetics Clubhouse. I'm gonna be teaching on eternity, on heaven. So in particular, so I got that this Sunday. And then I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Real quick, JP. Listen, most of the time, almost all the time, I rock with you until this right here.
That's terrible. That movie's terrible.
The book was amazing, though.
I liked World War Z.
Amazing. That movie, chill, bro.
It was okay. I liked it. My favorite.
You wouldn't like it if you read the book, bro.
My favorite zombie movie is Dawn of the Dead. I love the Zack Snyder and what's his name? Who was the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy? What's his name?
Zombie genre is good.
Yeah, Zack Snyder and him did Dawn of the Dead when they were in the mall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was good. But nah, bro, that World War Z, the book is amazing though. To do it justice, they would have to do like a trilogy of films to do the book justice. That's how good the book.
Well, they were supposed to do part 2 of it. They just fell apart.
Yeah, because it was horrible. They had to do reshoots and everything. It was terrible. That movie, trash.
I didn't think it was that bad. I think it was great, but I didn't think it was that bad.
I'm coming in with the book in my head. You know what I mean? And it's like the book.
That's the books rarely. The books rarely. So right. did you see off cuff? Did you see Dune? What'd you think of that?
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
I liked it. Well done.
I thought they did good.
Well done.
So he did a good job with an unfilmable script.
Right. They officially got signed to do the sequel now. They're doing part 2.
That's good. Yeah. So outside of my UA this Saturday, I'm drawing a blank on what else I have. I know me and Matthew have been trying to align our schedules again to get back on Freestyle Friday. We have a couple episodes planned out already. We just got to work our schedules together and get the time to start producing. So
cool. Delicate Flower.
Oh.
First of all, it's good to see you here, so I appreciate that. So thank you for that. So
that looked like that was one of those Bill Cosby pudding pop.
Oh, there you go. This video about to be clipped now. I'm just playing. Nothing. I don't have anything planned other than being in live chat somewhere. Bodega ladies, we will be starting back our book club. In the next couple of weeks. So the book we're going to be reading. I don't know why Michelle is looking like this. We were supposed to do it about a month ago, but we had some stuff happen personally. But book we're going to be reading is Misreading Scripture with Western Eyes.
Nice.
So if you are interested and you are a female, a woman, between you 18, I think we started 18 and up, please email us if you want to be a part of our book club. We will be sending out those communications. We should be starting in about a week or 2. The first one is never us reading the book. It's us just kind of reconnecting and catching up from our summer break. We've read about how many books together now, Shell? 5? I think we've read about 5.
We did Pastor Jerome. No, we didn't. We did Pastor Isaiah Washington's Black Church Empowered. Then we did Urban Apologetics. We did
How to Fight Racism.
And I think, what else did we do?
We did something else. I think we did 4 or 5 books together.
Yeah.
So it's been a great time. We ask questions, we probe, we talk to one another, we build relationships. So please hit us up. Val is in the chat. Val can tell you we give homework. It's not just some fluff type reading club. We actually read the book, ask questions, and have pertinent discussions. And so our goal is to equip us and each other with the tools that we need. One, to, in this case, study the Bible, but also to defend our faith, to share our faith with others as well. So send us an email. Our email is Bodega Ladies. Ladies is LADYS @gmail.com if you want to be a part of that communication, but more to come. That's all I got going on. That's it.
And I check our emails on a regular basis. So even if you just we need prayer or anything like that, or have a prayer request, you can email us that and we will make sure we pray for you as well.
Cool. And of course, we have the real American, Mr. Phil Fox. What can we be expecting from you, sir?
Yeah, I had a couple of reschedules, one due to health, and we've had some the wife has been struggling a little bit lately. But coming up, I have on Tuesday the 2nd, I have Ninja for Jesus. I'm sort of doing I want to call it a kind of a series on discipleship. So I got some folks who have expressed some discipleship focused content, and so Ninja for Jesus was one of them. He was doing a live stream about a month and a half ago, talking about this. So we're calling it going from consumers to collaborators. So calling people out of the pews and into this discipleship, and then of course. We have our sister Dana Owens talking about do life, her concept of doing life. I love it. Anytime she is, talking on any of these YouTube streets, she talks heavily about doing life. So always encouraged by her. And she had some stuff going on. We were supposed to do this last month, but by the grace of God, we're going to do that on the 7th. And then another reschedule was author of Hidden in Plain Sight, LC Thunder. We have him coming up on the 14th. And then I have Pastor Jerome Gay Jr. coming up on the 16th. We're going to be talking whitewashing Christianity. His book. So we got two authors back to back, and his Thunder is coming on a Sunday, and then that Tuesday is going to be Pastor Jerome Gay, and then we'll be back to discipleship. Our man Reverend Quentin Q. Rogers is going to be coming on talking about the lost art of discipleship.
Right.
Church planter, all that in the Midwest. So we got some great content, and we'll be keeping it rolling. And I know Apologist in Detroit has got some stuff in the queue, and then Matthew Jackson's got some stuff in the queue, and of course we're always choosing some violence with the CRT talk and all that kind of stuff. So but yeah, so that is what's rolling on Drops of Hope Ministries.
Nice.
I just gotta say real quick, Phil, that thumbnail with you and Q, that thumbnail is hilarious, but it's fire. Like, I seen that and I was like, it's Q's personality to a T. I was like, this thumbnail's fire. I really like this thumbnail.
I appreciate it.
Nice. And as for me, next Wednesday, I will be getting together with CMB. And
CMB, baby.
Is it real, son? Isn't really real? Should the Bible be taken literally? Riffing off the Method Man joint. You know what I mean? And then on Thursday, I'll be talking about, did the Bible still is cosmology from the ancient Near East? I live in the ancient Near East. I have a nice home there, and I tend to focus on that a lot, and of course the conscious community doesn't like when I focus on that, but who cares? So but that's what I'll be doing on Thursday. Violence. So Yeah. So that was
and
it.
I'm working on that wisdom one to come work with you in the future too.
Nice. That's right. We gotta do that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Halloween special. I hope you got some stuff from it. I hope that you'll look at your brothers and sisters in Christ with a lot of grace when you see them trick or treating, knowing that the intent and purpose is not to be idolatrous, but to get cavities, and tummy aches, and just thinking things through. As believers, we have to use the mind that God has given us. That's one of the great commandments that Christ said: to love the Lord your God, soul, mind, soul, and strength. So we gotta use that muscle that's between our ears. So with that being said, final thoughts from anyone or everyone.
Wash your hands.
Don't come to Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Get that candy.
And Shani, don't do demons.
Don't do demons.
Love God, love people, and please be safe. And practice all of your COVID-19 safe protocols as you go about celebrating or getting candy, whatever it is that you're going to do. At the end of the day, we don't want another wave.
Properly wear your PPE.
Yes. Even if you're wearing your mask, wear the mask inside the mask just to play it safe. So with that, we are out. Peace.